Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Wait. Before we start, does this interest you? This distinguished gentleman is now live on Makeshift.com for a grand total of $30. Link in the description below. Make sure you snag one before the time expires because it's not coming back. By the possums, 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 by the possums. Now to your regularly scheduled program. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for trying to defend myself over interactions I had in the past? My 18-year-old daughter and I were watching a film together, and during the ad break, I told her I went to a school with one of the lead actresses in it, and talked to her a couple times. My daughter was interested and asked about it. She asked, did I ever try to become friends with her back then? And I said no. When she asked why, I admitted that my interactions with her in school weren't the nicest. She was on the heavier side, and I made jokes about her weight, like calling her a pig or calling her too heavy. I said I know it was wrong and I wouldn't do it again. When my daughter asked why, I just said it was puberty, and some of my friends, including my boyfriend at the time, were doing it too. So, peer pressure. My daughter's tone changed and she seemed to go on the offensive against me. She called me a bully and said what I did was cruel. I was caught off guard, but decided to try and defend myself. I explained I never went out of my way to hound her, and at the time, I didn't really think she was too bothered by it besides a few annoyed looks. She never really seemed upset about it. I know bottlers do exist, but this is from my younger self's perspective. If she told me what I was saying was upsetting for her, I would have stopped. She asked what did I get out of it. I kinda snapped back, saying I was 12 to 14 at the time and it's common for people to be bitchy and less considerate at that age. She snapped back in a cheeky way, saying she never bullied anyone, and asked was it hard for me not to consider how she felt? I told her to calm down. I repeated myself, saying I never went out of my way to hound her, and that this was decades ago, and I highly doubt this actress, who is now a millionaire and has kids, is still scorned by some comments from some random classmate. I laughed a little to calm the atmosphere down, but I think this agitated her. Again, she asked what did I get out of it, and I told her again, I didn't bully her. Like I said, I never hounded her about it. Outside of a few agitated looks, she never seemed upset, and I didn't interact with her much in general either. And I also mentioned if she thinks what I said was bad, then she wouldn't want to know what some of my friends' circle at the time said about her. I told her to watch the film, but she refused, saying I'm an awful person before leaving. I tried to ask her to talk for a minute, but she told me to leave her alone. I don't particularly know why she's acting this way. I did say I regretted it, and I was 12 to 14 when I said these things, and it was decades ago. Yes, I obviously wouldn't have done this again, and I didn't do it as I matured. I don't think I bullied her. I didn't go out of my way to hurt her and never spoke to her again after it. I don't think my daughter has ever been bullied in school. Am I the asshole for trying to defend myself over this? Do you think that bullying only looks like what it's shown to be in, Disney films and whatnot? Also, the absurdity of saying, yeah, I called her a little piggy, but I didn't think it bothered her. She didn't seem bothered by it. If someone called you a pig and was like, hey little piggy, how you doing? How would you feel? Would you be unbothered by it? It is fucking ridiculous for you to even try to claim that, oh, it's fine that I called her a pig because she clearly wasn't visibly bothered by it. And also, if you're upset by the fact that I used to call her a little piggy, which by the way wasn't bullying, you would be so more upset about what my friends did to her. See, by saying what you just did, you're obfuscating blame. You're trying to minimize the actual impact you potentially could have had on this person's life and trying to make it seem, oh no, it's fine. I didn't actively hunt her down or anything. It was just casual side comments about her being a little piggy. See, I'm sure a lot of us have dealt with meeting someone as an adult who doesn't think they were a bully, but when they describe the kind of shit they did in high school, it's, wow, you were a bully. You tormented your classmates for your own fun and don't seem to understand that. Because no one wants to admit that they were bad, or they were the bad guy when they were younger, or they did horrible things to their classmates and peers. And that's what we exactly see going on here. They don't want to admit to it. They don't even want to acknowledge the possibility that they were actively bullying this person or potentially contributing to them having a worse high school or middle school experience. Instead, it's, well, I didn't say the worst of it, my friends did, and I wasn't actively hunting her down to bully her. It was just, side and off comments of me calling her a pig. Also, it's kind of crazy to sit down and watch a movie with your daughter, be like, hey, see that girl there? Yeah, I called her a pig in middle school. Wow, Mom, that's really something. And if OP actually regretted their actions, she would be speaking as though what she had done was actually objectively terrible and not trying to find ways to sugarcoat them. Like, your inability to recognize what bullying actually is makes me wonder if your daughter is being bullied and she's just sitting there like, wow, my mom is the archetype of the type of people who tormented me in middle and high school. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole? Thanksgiving drama already. I usually celebrate every holiday with my husband's family. I did not spend Thanksgiving with my side of the family last year. My sisters and I are not the closest, but we tried during the holidays. I mentioned to my husband that I wanted to spend Thanksgiving with my sisters this year, and he did not seem to have any issues. I announced to my husband's siblings the following via text. Hello, family. This year, I will be hosting Thanksgiving at my home with my sisters. I look forward to celebrating Christmas and New Year's with you. My sister-in-law responded, oh nice, we all celebrate Thanksgiving at your home plus sisters. But that's not what my initial message read. I replied with, I would rather not. I hardly see my sisters and would like some quality time with them. I felt the need to clarify because she was acting like she didn't understand. One of the brothers says, oh, so we're not invited. Why are you dividing the family? He meant his side of the family. Both sides only see each other at random birthdays. I replied with, I would like to spend Thanksgiving with my sisters. There is no need to make this a problem. We will be spending Christmas and New Year's together. Needless to say, they are all mad at me. They left the chat. I know that my husband understands where I'm coming from, but he's mad that they are mad and has to deal with this before the holidays. I'm sorry, but you 100% invited this drama by having just such a poorly written text message. Messaging a bunch of people, hey everyone, I'm going to be hosting Thanksgiving at my home this year with my sisters. Looking forward to celebrating Christmas and New Year's with you guys. Sounds more like you're saying, hey, I'm hosting this year, and my sisters will be arriving. It does not read like, I'm hosting this year, you're not invited, I'm only hosting for my sisters. I think the main problem here is that you very poorly worded the first message, and then very poorly worded the response. And it just made you come off as extremely hostile. I think the reason why you ended up on r/AmITheDevil is because you can't seem to comprehend or understand this perspective, and you're doubling down on the fact that you're in the right and can't seem to understand that, yeah, your wording is extremely vague and actually gives the impression that you are offering to host Thanksgiving this year. In other words, you are the drama. Cross-posted from r/Drew off my chest. I just broke up with the love of my life because of his disabled brother. I've been with my boyfriend Daniel on and off for about 10 years. We were high school sweethearts who broke up when he went into the army and reconnected after he was discharged. Since day one of our relationship, his brother Peter has been a problem. They had a fairly traumatic childhood, deadbeat dad and emotionally unstable/abusive mother, and Daniel took on a bit of the caregiving tasks for his younger brother, 5-year age gap. He said from day one that being there for his brother was his priority, and if I wanted to date him, I would have to accept it. I was a little weirded out, but I don't think I fully understood that I was signing up to always come in second. Just as an example, when we were in high school, he stood me up on the day I decided to sleep with him to see his brother's school play. Like, what the fuck? What 17-year-old boy would rather see a middle school production of Les Miserables than get laid for the first time? Sorry if I pronounced that horribly. But that's how it's always been. The second time we broke up, it was after his discharge because Peter was in an abusive relationship with some guy who got him addicted to pain meds. And Daniel basically said that he didn't need me and my son distracting him because he was trying to save his brother's life. We didn't speak for almost a year because I was so pissed that he would just abandon us like that. Well, Daniel was able to help Peter get clean, and Peter's ex ended up in jail on drug charges. Daniel is a cop, so he was able to ensure Peter wasn't charged and even paid for a treatment program. After that, Peter went back to school to finish his degree. I probably should have walked away then, but Daniel is such an unbelievably great guy. He's a hard worker, he's great with my son, and he has so many wonderful qualities. So I reached back out, and we started talking again. He told me that he wasn't going to apologize for dropping everything to save Peter's life, but basically said, "Sorry if it hurt you." And I was willing to accept that. So we moved back in together. 2 years pass and all is well. Peter comes over every weekend with his girlfriend. They're both gay, but Peter's mom is very traditional. And I accept that, even though it means that my son and I basically have no private family time with just Daniel. Peter finished his degree and was about to start a master's degree in social work. Things are finally back to normal. Then, he gets hit by a fucking car. It wasn't his fault, the driver was texting and didn't see him, but I'm still so angry. Hold on. The thing is, because of the sheer amount of resentment that we've seen that OP has for Peter already, and with the given context that the accident wasn't Peter's fault, her saying that I'm still so angry is such a fucking loaded statement and puts the entire context of she's mad that Peter got hit by a car. Not mad at the driver, mad at the fact that Peter was hit by a car and is now going to become a priority because he was hit by a car. She's not mad for Peter, she's mad at Peter. God damn. We were eating breakfast when Daniel got the call, and he lost his legs when he heard the news. He was crying so hard I could barely understand him. I had to get my son to school and drive him to the hospital because he couldn't drive in his condition. He was almost catatonic on the drive over. The doctors were very doubtful that Peter would survive the initial surgery, but he did. Then he was in a coma for 3 days. I'm sure you were disappointed he survived the surgery. On the rare occasions that I was able to convince Daniel to get some sleep or eat something, he insisted I stay with Peter and call him if something happened. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I sometimes fantasized about him. Damn. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I sometimes fantasized about him dying because at least it would all be over and we could start to heal. Called it. When he emerged from the coma, he wasn't awake. The doctor said he was in a vegetative state, so he could either get better or just stay like this forever. In this state, he wears diapers and has to get fed through a tube. Daniel has to watch him and bathe him and basically care for him 24/7. He quit his job, without consulting me, and moved in with Peter's friend because our apartment didn't have room for Peter. So we don't even live together anymore. When I suggested that we look into residential care options for Peter, we got into the worst fight we've ever been in. He said that those places have a low standard for care, and that he didn't want his brother to be scared and surrounded by strangers, even bringing up that story about the lady in a coma that got pregnant at some hospital, saying that he would never forgive himself if his brother was raped and couldn't tell him or ask for help. I said it sounded like something out of Law and Order SVU, but he wouldn't even consider it. You're gross. I don't want to live with Peter, and I don't want to live apart from Daniel, so we're basically at an impasse. Peter can't walk or talk, but he often shakes and cries, which scares my son. So, he hasn't even seen Daniel in weeks. I think Daniel could be the love of my life, but I don't think there's anything left to salvage. I texted him last night if he wanted to give up all our plans to live like this for the rest of our life, and he told me to go fuck myself. I can't even talk to anyone about this IRL because I know how selfish it sounds. But I feel like I can't even mourn this relationship or come to terms with all the time I wasted because everything is still all about Peter. He was hit by a fucking car. Oh my god. Comment from user But Debbie Pastels. OP in the post, we were high school sweethearts. His younger brother, 5-year age gap. Comment by OP. I didn't like Peter on a personal level. He always rubbed me the wrong way because I felt that he was pretty arrogant and condescending. But we were always civil with each other. To Peter's credit, he did encourage Daniel to try to build a family with me and my son, but he was still very intrusive with our time together. I certainly never badmouthed him to Daniel because I knew how highly he thought of his brother. He would always talk about how smart Peter was and how he was going to do great things. He would also badmouth himself in the same breath, which made me feel like all of it was coming from his own low self-esteem. So, she's known Peter since he was a preteen, and it sounds like she's loathed him the entire time. Imagine calling a kid living in an abusive environment arrogant and condescending, because his brother, honorary father really, is proud of him. And then looking at that same kid grown up and in a coma after a horrible accident and wanting him to die. Okay, so, in my opinion, I feel like that if you're in a relationship and something happens with someone's family and suddenly your goals for life become incompatible, it's acceptable to break up on amicable terms because you want to go on with life and they want to make sure they're there for their family. That's okay. However, what's not okay is whatever the fuck this is from OP. If this was a post where OP was like, I love Peter, I love Daniel, Peter had a horrible accident, it's tragic, but this is a life that I'm not willing to pursue because this isn't what I imagined for myself, I would understand them taking a step back from that relationship. However, the venom that OP has for Peter's continued existence is not only palpable, but just rather disgusting. Like, he was hit by a fucking car and you seem to blame him. Good God. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for not wanting to get my stepdaughter's pajamas altered? My wife has a 15-year-old daughter. We have a 4-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter together. My stepdaughter is skinny with long legs and a small waist. She has a chronic illness that has affected her growth. My wife still shops for her in the children's section most of the time, but she wears different sizes in shirts than pants. In tops, she's a 14 in girls or an 8 in boys. In pants, she's a 12 slim, which is impossible to find in leggings. We usually end up getting adult extra smalls, sometimes extra small, and getting it hemmed. I get having her pants altered because they're going to be worn out in public. My wife just bought her some winter pajamas, which almost always come in sets. She usually gets everything in a size 14, but the waist is too big, so she wants to get her pajama pants altered and have them add a tighter elastic waistband or a drawstring. I told her that these pants won't be worn out of the house, and that getting them altered is a waste of money. But she thinks it's unfair that the rest of us get to have clothes and pajamas that fit, and my stepdaughter is just supposed to deal with it, because they won't be worn out of the house. Now she's being petty and saying that a new jacket for me is a waste of money because mine from before we had kids still works fine, and my socks have holes isn't a big deal because nobody will see them under my shoes. My mom thinks I should give in and take the pajamas for alterations to keep the peace, but I just think it's an unnecessary expense. Am I the asshole for not wanting to get her pajama pants altered? Here's a hot take. I don't think it's an unreasonable or unnecessary expense to make sure that they're comfortable in their own home and don't risk flashing you guys because the clothes don't fit her. I googled it out of curiosity, and that unnecessary expense is the cost of a Big Mac meal. Maybe 2. You aren't willing to spend like $15 to $20 so that way your stepdaughter feels comfortable around the house and doesn't risk accidentally exposing herself? Really, dude? Like, if you have this mentality, then your wife is 100% correct. Why get new socks? I mean, holes won't be seen by people, right? Who cares if you're uncomfortable while walking around? After all, other people won't see it. She's not being petty, she's just using her logic against you and showing you how fucking ridiculous you're being. Let's maybe not put your teenage daughter in a position where she might accidentally expose herself to the family. Crazy idea, right? But seriously, dude, for your stepdaughter's comfort, just spend the $15 to $20. Although, to be fair to OP, according to this random Quora article, it could cost upwards to $30, so... yeah. I don't know, that's a pretty tall ask, I guess. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that her tattoo theme doesn't matter and that she's being childish by putting that over family? So I, 19 female, have an older sister, Vicky, 24 female, who has a lot of tattoos. She's very purposeful about her tattoos and has them all in the same theme. All of them are nature, plants, and animals. I think she calls it an engraving style or something. But basically, they're all in the same style and all are nature things. So me and her are really close, and now that I'm old enough and have saved up enough, I want to get a matching tattoo with her. She's down for the idea. I spent several days finding matching sister tattoos on Instagram and TikTok and whatever. And on Saturday, I sat down with her to go through and pick which one we should do. She looked through all of them and then said she wasn't going to do any of them because they don't match her style. I got upset and asked her, why can't she just do one tattoo that doesn't match her style? She said even one tattoo would throw off her entire theme, which upset me. I asked her if she was really putting a theme over family loyalty, and she said I was being stupid, and that because I said that, she wasn't going to continue this conversation anymore. I tried to complain to my mom, but she doesn't care about tattoos that much, and our dad doesn't like them at all, so neither of them were any help. So am I the asshole? I can provide more details if necessary. You went to your parents to complain that your 24-year-old sister didn't want to get a specific style of matching tattoo with you? Like, it's her body. She gets to decide what gets inked on her or not. And if you really wanted to get matching tattoos, then maybe you should allow her to pick, if it means that much to you. In the end, if she does have that many tattoos, then chances are she's probably very happy with how she looks, and very happy with the theme and style that she's going for. Also, you trying to claim family loyalty for her getting a matching tattoo with you is just strange. It's just not cool. It's gross. It's manipulative as fuck. Also, I had to Google what the engraving style was. That is an extremely detailed and complex tattoo theming. And anything that doesn't match that is going to stand out like a sore thumb. I also don't think it would be difficult to find a matching animal or plant or flower tattoo or anything along her theme in the engraving style that both of you could get from matching. My guess would be is you were probably like trying to get like a live, laugh, sisterhood or some kind of tattoo like that. And she just wasn't having it. Especially if you were using Instagram and TikTok for inspiration. Actually, I'm gonna Google that real quick. Damn, I was right on the money. Cross-posted from r/service dogs. Got denied my service dog at an ER. The reason was people in the ER were more likely to have allergies? ? Nothing to do with temperament or anything, and I've been to this ER before where they let me have him. There's just different staff today. I looked online, and they're not allowed to do that, at least for allergies like they said. And it completely threw me off guard. What do I do? Not to mention that it was difficult to access where they had him. The doors were locked and I couldn't get to him. Then I couldn't get back out, basically blocking the ambulance entrance both ways, and I started to have a medical emergency without him. He's a cardiac alert dog, and he walked all the way through the building to get to the back, so the allergy thing makes no sense logistically, and he was on file and had no issues the last time. This feels illegal. Edit. Literally, what the fuck is up with you guys? I look for support and get accused and spectated on for everything. Literally, what the fuck? He behaved well in there. He's been trained. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? So, basically, the service dog subreddit was extremely skeptical that OP even had a service animal in the first place. Comments like from user Mongo Loves Donut. I'm confused. You came to a service dog group to complain that your fake service dog was denied entry to the ER, and you're upset that the people with legitimate service dogs didn't fawn all over you and say, "Oh, how terrible, sue them." You were in the wrong, completely, and you got caught. Are you aware that in many places faking a service dog is punishable by law? If you were a legit service dog handler, you would absolutely know that. And you would know your access rights and the training required, and that you can't just take your boyfriend's dog and call it his service dog. So please, make me understand. The OP responds, he isn't a fake service dog, he's PA trained and cardiac alert trained. He did not act out. They just said people in the ER were more likely to have allergies. So you may have noticed the thing about the boyfriend's dog mentioned in there. And that comes from this comment thread. Calligrapher C 3716. 4 months ago, you were trying to make your mom's untrained 8-month-old Mastiff mix into your service dog. No way is that dog already ready for PA. Have a feeling there's way more to this story. User Amazing Persimmon comments below. The puppy is about 8 months old right now and is a mix of a Catahoula, Mastiff, Husky, and Belgian Malinois. This is one of the most insane breed combos I've ever seen in this sub. I think you're onto something. The OP responds to this comment, I literally said that is not the dog. User Nanye responds, from zero to acquiring, there are huge waitlists, typically a year plus from reputable charities and trainers, a service animal, training him for your condition all in 4 months seems pretty suspicious. This is why you're being downvoted. OP responds to this comment, "This is not that dog. He's been toddler-proofed and desensitized for literally years, and cardiac alert was the first part that took the better part of a year. I was not expecting him to go public access at the previous post because he was attacked. But we've been observing him and gradually working on it, and he was no longer fearful of dogs. That's literally what the post was about because I wasn't expecting him to go back to work, but he's shown he can." User Perfect Spinach 7664 responds to the comment above, "I genuinely hope the animal you're using as a service dog now is not the one you asked how to get to stop fighting." To which OP responds, "I'm not using him, I'm using my partner's dog who fell into it kind of naturally. So yeah, no, my mom's dog isn't ready for PA and isn't being used for PA." User Porky5CO responds, "You can't use your partner's dog for you. And a service dog doesn't just fall into it. It has to be rigorously trained." OP responds to that comment, "He was trained for toddler proofing, translating into being good for public access, a while ago, and I trained him to alert me to my heart rate, and I noticed he picked it up quickly and does it well." User OKExtension9329 responds to that comment, "Toddler proofing is absolutely not the same as being good for public access." OP responds, "It's a transferable skill." To which OKExtension responds, "If you think all it takes for public access training is to be desensitized to toddlers, you are beyond the help of this sub." Then OP responds, "I'm saying it's a transferable skill. He's desensitized to distractions." OKExtension further responds, 1. Dogs in general do not generalize skills well. That's why they have to be trained in multiple environments and desensitized to everything. What you're describing, being toddler-proof so that means they won't react to distractions, is not how their brains work. 2. Public access is about more than being desensitized to toddlers, and whatever else you think this skill is being transferred to. As someone who works in a hospital, please stop terrorizing the staff with your poorly trained service dog. Nobody has time for that." Then there are 2 responses to the comment just read, one from Perfect Spinach 7664. "Yes, public access is far more than just being desensitized to toddlers. Is the animal focused solely on OP? Is it seeking attention from others? Is it vocal? Not if a task requires it to be vocal. And so much more." And the OP responded, "That's not the only training he has. That's where he started and why he picked up public access easily." There's also a side thread that goes all the way back to the first time that it was exposed that they're using their boyfriend's dog, and that goes something like this. "And why can't I use my partner's dog for me? He's my service dog, but my partner is responsible for taking him potty and doing vet stuff. What's wrong with that?" Porky5CO comments, "Jesus fucking Christ, you can't just make shit up as you go." OP says, "I'm literally not." User Single Permission 9373 comments, "Because that's not at all how this works." So, with some of those comments read, what do y'all think the verdict is? Do you think OP has a fake service dog, or do you think that maybe, perhaps, they might have a real service dog and they're just really, really bad at trying to make their case? I know jack shit about service dogs, so I'm not making a direct comment on it. I just wanted to read the comments to try to get more insight and thought it was one hell of an interaction. So if you do know about service dogs, please give your take on it. I'd be very, very curious to hear what the actual truth could be. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for kicking my 16-year-old daughter out of the house for disrespecting her stepmother? I'm a 40-year-old father who's had primary custody of my 16-year-old daughter, and we shared a close and strong father-daughter relationship. However, things have taken a challenging turn for the worse since I moved my wife and her 13-year-old daughter into our home. My daughter has been quite vocal about her dissatisfaction with my wife's effort to be a mother figure and the way she tries to assert her authority over her. She feels uncomfortable with my wife's attempts to take on a motherly role. Additionally, my daughter believes that I've been treating my stepdaughter better than her. I don't believe I have, which has led to a significant amount of resentment. We've had multiple arguments about these issues, and it has reached a point where our household was constantly tense. We recently got into another heated argument due to my daughter cursing her stepmom out, calling her the B word, and in a moment of frustration, I suggested to my daughter that if she couldn't find a way to coexist peacefully with my wife and her stepsister, it might be best for her to move in with her mother. As a result, my daughter has gone to live with her mother, and both of us are dealing with a lot of emotional pain and distance between us. I never intended to kick her out, and I miss her terribly, but I thought it might be the best solution to prevent further conflicts in our new family dynamic. Am I the asshole for making this decision? User Shy Poster posts some of OP's comments below. What a winner! We only dated each other for 6 months prior to getting married. Some may think that's a short amount of time, but I didn't feel the need to wait any longer than that. Also, I can guarantee you I don't treat my daughter and stepdaughter differently. Followed by, I don't believe in therapy. Let's see here. Daughter voices the concerns that the father, or OP here, is treating his new family differently or better than he's treating his own daughter. Desires like the stepmother wanting to be the motherly figure when the stepdaughter didn't want that. He says no. Teenage daughter hits a boiling point. And what ends up happening? Rather than having a conversation between everyone and finding out where the drama was, nope, he prioritizes his new family and kicks his daughter out. Not once did he listen to what his daughter was feeling or wanting and try to converse with her. Also, this is a great example of missing reasons. There are a ton of things missing about this post, and OP only provides a surface level analysis because if he went into the details, he would definitely look like the bad guy. I'm sure that if we asked the daughter for her side of the story, it would probably fill up multiple best of style posts. There's a reason why OP only provides 4 simple paragraphs as to what's going on. Don't forget, today we're launching the 3 opossums in a trench coat plush. Coming live at yeah. But you should definitely buy this plush. It is totally not 3 opossums in a trench coat. Totally not. You should definitely allow this completely non-conspicuous, oddly shaped, distinguished gentleman into your home, who will certainly not lay claim to your pantry. This is in fact 3 opossums in a trench coat who will in fact lay complete desolation to your fridge, pantry, and potentially garbage. On sale now!